Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, texts 51 and 52. So we are just covering 52 also, because with that chapter is getting completed, and also there is no purport for the verse 52. So okay, I'll just read word to word of text 51. So please repeat after me. Tataham bhaktihi bhagavati putri bhute janardane dampatyoho nitaram asit gopagopishu bharata tato bhaktir bhagavati putri bhute janardane dampatyor nitaram asid gopagopishu bharata tato bhaktir bhagavati putri bhute janardane dampatyor nitaram asid gopagopishu bharata tato bhaktir bhagavati putri bhute janardane dampatyor nitaram asid gopagopishu bharata. तो भक्तिर भगवती पुत्री भूते जनार्दने संपत्योर्नितराम आसीन गोप गोपीषु भारत तो भक्तिर भगवती पुत्री भूते जनार्दने संपत्योर्नितराम आसीन गोप गोपीषु भारत तो भक्तिर्भगवती पुत्री भूते जनार्दने संपत्योर्नितराम आसीन गोप गोपीषु भारत. माताजी. ततो भक्तिर्भगवती पुत्री भूते जनार्दने संपत्योर्नितरामासीन ततः thereafter bhakti bhagavati, the cult of bhakti, devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Putri bhute, in the Lord, who had appeared as the son of Mother Yashoda. Janardane, in Lord Krishna. Dampatyoho, of both husband and wife. Nitaram, continuously. Asit, there was. Gopa Gopishu, all the inhabitants of Vrindavana, the Gopas and the Gopis, associating with Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda and following in their footsteps. Bharata, O Maharaj Parikshit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Thereafter, O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Bharatas, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead became the son of Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda, they maintained continuous, unswerving devotional love in parental affection. And in their association, all the other inhabitants of Vrindavana, the Gopas and Gopis, developed the culture of Krishna Bhakti. Purport. Although when the Supreme Personality of Godhead stole the butter, curd and milk of the neighboring Gopas and Gopis, this teasing superficially seemed troublesome. In fact, it was an exchange of affection in the ecstasy of devotional service. The more the Gopas and Gopis exchanged feelings with the Lord, the more their devotional service increased. Sometimes we may superficially see that a devotee is in difficulty because of being engaged in devotional service. But the fact is different. When a devotee suffers for Krishna, that suffering is transcendental enjoyment. Unless one becomes a devotee, this cannot be understood. When Krishna exhibited his childhood pastimes, not only did Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda increase the devotional affection, but those in their association also increased in devotional service. In other words, persons who follow the activities of Vrindavana will also develop devotional service in the highest perfection. So I will just read the text 52 shloka and the translation before we begin to discuss. Krishno brahmana adesham satyam kartum vraje vibhuhu saharamo vasanschakre teshang priting swalilaya. Thus the Supreme Personality, Krishna, along with Balarama, lived in Brajabhumi, Vrindavana, just to substantiate the benediction of Brahma. By exhibiting different pastimes in his childhood, he increased the transcendental pleasure of Nanda and the other inhabitants of Vrindavana. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Krishna shows the universal form within his mouth. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Tato Bhaktir Bhagavati Putri Bhute Janardane Dhampatyor Nitaram Asid Gopa Gopishu Bharata. Thereafter, O Maharaja Parikshit, best of the Bharatas, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead became the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, they maintained continuous, unswerving devotional love in parental affection. And in their association, all the other inhabitants of Vrindavana, the Gopas and the Gopis, developed the culture of Krishna Bhakti. So now the conclusion of the answer that is given by Shukadeva Goswami for the question that was raised by Parikshit Maharaj regarding the great fortune, that what did Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda do? How did they attain such a glorious status? So Shukadeva Goswami had been answering in few of the verses that we heard so far, and now he concludes this series of verses with the point that by the blessings of Brahma and to please Brahma, so Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda were bestowed with such great fortune. So yeah, there is some more to it. The Acharyas have given commentary, and Srila Prabhupada has also given hints in these verses about the position of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. We'll try to discuss some points. As such, in this entire chapter, we can see one of the most important point that is being conveyed is the glory of the devotees of Vrindavan, as we heard in the 45th verse, how Mother Yashoda's position is the topmost position of how she just looks at Krishna, or her relationship with Krishna. Although the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutras, all the Upasanas, everything very clearly conclude Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everything animate, inanimate is under his control, but that Supreme Lord is being controlled by the love of the pure devotee. Specifically, Mother Yashoda is being glorified in that verse, and that verse gives us the direction how the entire pastimes of the 10th canto is being perceived. That in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, with the verse, Srila Shukadeva Goswami is pointing out, Ete chamsa kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He is the cause of all causes. He comes, he descends to this world to defeat the enemies of Indra. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. He comes in every millennium. But then, that becomes a very clear point that Krishna, the Bhagavatam clearly establishes Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then here, in the 45th verse, again, another another foundational principle of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam is being explained, that in the Vrajavasis or the Vrindavanavasis, they don't see Krishna as a Supreme Lord. They see him as a small boy who is just going to other gopis' houses. He goes to others' house, and then he steals the butter, and then everybody considers him as they just simply out of great affection and love for the Lord, they interact with him. So that we saw, and also we saw in this chapter how Krishna likes to experience different kinds of rasas, specifically the Vatsalya rasa, which is being discussed in the previous chapters as well. It comes to limelight here when Krishna is being chastised by Mother Yashoda for having taken the dirt, having eaten the dirt, so that we could see that. And now a question is being raised by Parikshit Maharaj, just to clarify the point that somebody may get a doubt that can we take up the position of Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj. So very politely is asking the question, what is the great fortune they did? Maybe can we also get into such a practice by which we can attain that position? So that is what actually is being clarified in these verses. And so the point that is being made is that we can never take to the position of Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj because they are eternal mothers and fathers of Krishna. Rather, the idea is to develop appreciation and also follow in their footsteps as the Vrajavasis, as the other great gopis and gopas, as they exemplified. So, and a devotee, he out of great affection for the Lord, he appreciates the position of Mother Yashoda and Mother Nanda, and he also tries to develop devotion following in their footsteps. So this is another point to be understood. Now, there are quite some questions that could be raised, and those questions is also resolved by Srila Prabhupada and other acharyas. So since I did not have much time, I am just going to do certain readings which are very, very relevant to this context with respect to the questions of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj's position, the position of Drona and Dhara, and also what is it that Brahma, if Mother Yashoda and Mother Nanda Maharaj, they're eternal fathers and mothers, what Brahma has got to do here in giving blessings? So Brahma is giving blessings so that they will develop pure devotion. They will experience intense bliss. So how to understand all these things? apparently appears like a contradiction. So His Holiness Shivaram Maharaj has very nicely discussed these intricate points. So few things we will read and we will try to understand these points, which will give us a good perspective of the unique position of Mother Yashoda and Nanda. Yeah, the first point is to understand that how Mother Yashoda and Nanda, their position is very unique. So no one can take up that position. So immediately the acharyas are quoting the very famous verse, which in the next chapter. In fact, the question that was raised by Parikshit Maharaj is going to be further elaborated with the Leela that is going to unfold with the Damodar Leela, the unique position of Mother Yashoda and the great affection she has for Krishna is going to be unfolded in the upcoming chapters. Specifically, this verse very clearly delineates the position of Mother Yashoda. Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutaha. So Gopika Sutaha here refers to, again emphasizes the point that Krishna is the son of Mother Yashoda. Many times a question is being raised. Krishna is son of Devaki. So this verse, Shukadeva Goswami is hinting very clearly, yes, Krishna is the son of Mother Yashoda. So Dehinam Gopika Sutaha Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yata Bhakti Matam Iha. The Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. So the point here is that by practice of any spiritual discipline, one cannot attain the position of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. So that's one of the conclusions of this verse. And and also we saw Srila Prabhupada explaining how they are Nitya Siddhas, the personal expansions of the Lord in the previous verses that is being explained. And so now there is also in the previous verses we saw that Drona and Dhara, they prayed to Lord Brahma. And also here another point is that is also being mentioned, that Nanda and Yashoda are eternal mothers and fathers. So how do we understand that? So this is very nicely explained. Here the answer goes like this. Srila Jiva Goswami reconciles them by stating, if there are two contradictory statements in scripture, the first statement should be interpreted so that it does not contradict the later statement. This rule of interpretations is generally followed in commenting by previous acharyas regarding the Vedanta Sutra and other things. So there are two statements. The first statement gives a conclusion. The second statement gives another conclusion. Apparently it appears like a contradiction. So what is being done is the second conclusion is taken as a premise. The first statement is reconciled to support the second statement. Applying this axiom to the example under discussion, Jiva Goswami argues that Shukadeva's first statement that Drona and Dhara are demigods must be seen in the light of the second statement that no one can become Krishna's parents, for Nanda and Yashoda are eternally so. The conclusion that Srila Jiva Goswami draws is that Drona and Dhara must have already been Nanda and Yashoda, but that they could have only been partial expansions that we saw yesterday in the class also we heard and the previous classes also. Given that status as demigods, and since Drona and Dhara were already expansions of Krishna's parents, Brahma's blessing must have been a fulfillment of prophecy rather than an independent boon. So here again another point is being said. So the point is that Drona and Dhara are actually expansions of Nanda and Yashoda. So that is what the acharyas are stating. That's what the Bhagavatam also says. And then the point is that Brahma gave the boon, benediction. Again, it is a pastime. So we will discuss about that, because right in today's commentary, Srila Sanatana Goswami gives a hint about it. We will discuss that. So here very nicely he summarizes. Maharaj summarizes the point. He says that Once the partial expansions of Nanda and Yashoda, who were Krishna's eternal parents, appeared in Swarga as the demigods Drona and Dhara. Drona was one of the 8 Vasus, and as a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, he ruled a kingdom in heaven. Because they were childless, Drona and Dhara went to Mount Mandara and implored Lord Brahma to give them the Supreme Lord as their son. Lord Brahma smiled and assured them that their desire would be fulfilled. This is the understanding. So when the time came for Krishna's Prakata Leela on earth, Prakata Leela means Krishna descends here and he performs his pastimes here. Drona and Dhara appeared in Gokula in accordance with their previous desire. However, Krishna's eternal parents, Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, who were the original counterholes of Drona and Dhara, had also appeared in Prakata Raja, as they always do upon Krishna's descent. So we are always here, when Krishna comes to this world, his eternal associates also come along with them. The Nitya Parshadas, they come with them. Thus Drona entered the body. So here, this is what Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur in yesterday's verse commentary explains. So that is being nicely summarized here. Drona and he also appeared in Prakata Varsha as they always do upon Krishna's descent. So thus Drona entered the body of Nanda Maharaj and Dhara entered the body of Yashoda Devi. In this way, when Krishna was finally born, Drona and Dhara were able to share the bliss of being his parents. So they also experienced it, but they entered the body of Nanda and Yashoda. This explanation fully reconciles the 2 statements of Shukadeva Goswami and is consistent with the understanding of Rupa Sanatana and Jiva Goswamis. Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda Devi, who were fortunate enough to enjoy the childhood pastimes of Krishna in his Prakata Leela, are the combined form of 2 sets of personalities. The original parents of Krishna from Gokula, Nanda and Yashoda, as well as the partial expansions of these same personalities from Swarga, Drona and Dhara. Again, Srila Sanatana Goswami gives some more points on this. And just as the incarnations of Krishna, the source of all incarnations, are non-different from him, the incarnations of the Goloka Vasis, the residents of Goloka, are non-different from them. The Goloka Vasis are born sometimes as partial expansions and sometimes as their full selves. Like Krishna, they vary their appearance for time, place and need. Thus Krishna's companions, impelled by their own moods of loving exchange, from time to time want to descend somewhere with their Lord. So now this is the point. The Lord can expand. Similarly, if to please the Lord, his devotees can also expand. That's why we can see simultaneously they appear in Krishna Leela, they appear in Chaitanya Leela. According to the desire of the Lord, the devotees can exhibit their powers, whatever that will be pleasing to the Lord. This is again an amazing attribute of the Lord's Achintya Shakti. Thus Krishna's companions, impelled by their own moods of loving exchange, from time to time want to descend somewhere with their Lord. When devotees who live with Krishna in Goloka appear to merge on some pretext into their own expanded incarnations, this is just like the merging of Krishna's expansions with him. When sages tell us, therefore, that expansions of Krishna's associates descend to become the original associates, what they mean is that the expansions merge into the originals. Now again, similar to support this, Sanatana Goswami in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita has given descriptions simply to substantiate this point. Sanatana Goswami directly describes the identity of Krishna's parents. In Goloka, Nanda Maharaja eternally serves Krishna in the role of father. So when Krishna plans to descend to earth to display childhood pastimes, Nanda is naturally attracted to come with him. Lord Brahma then blesses Nanda's partial expansions, Vasudrona, to attain perfect devotion for Vishnu. Of course, this blessing is only a pretext because Drona is already an expansion of Krishna's eternal associate. I think you are getting the point. So it's not that now Brahma has to give blessing and because of that blessing they are endowed with Prema Bhakta. But they are naturally the Prema Bhaktas. They are eternally the parents of the Lord. So now also the Lord gives credit to Brahma. We will hear that. Yet on the strength of that blessing, Drona merges into the original Nanda Maharaj and joins the entourage of Krishna's avatar. It is in this sense that the Puranas tell us Drona became Nanda. This explanation also reconciles on account of the account in the Padma Purana of other expansions as well. So again, there are very relevant questions which a devotee may will like to get it clarified. So some of those questions are also answered. So we will discuss those questions as well, which will be relevant to today's topic. So now a question is being raised. What order of Brahma did Drona and Dara accept on their heads before requesting the boon of parenthood of the Lord? Now what is that Brahma? What order they took from Brahma? So here Maharaj explains, when the demigods assembled on the shore of the milk ocean to beg the Lord for his protection, Lord Brahma, Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu's via medium to the Devas, relayed the Lord's order in this way. For as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by his own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. Having received this order, Drona and Dhara then asked Lord Brahma for the fulfillment of their desire. So this is the point. Yesterday this question was being raised. This is the point. So that's why they were asking Brahma for a boon. Now another question is being raised. When Brahma says, let it be so, it appears that he is blessing Drona and Dhara with the prema by which Krishna becomes their son. Or is he? Is he really blessing? The question being raised. Brahma cannot bless Drona and Dhara with what he does not have. No? He himself does not have the great prema bhakti that they are holding. So how can he give blessing? Very nicely he is explaining this point. Because we can see in the 14th chapter of the upcoming 10th canto pastimes, that Brahma will glorify. Brahma will ask that let me be, I can never understand the great glories of the pure devotional service. Others may say so many things, but I cannot. So he says that. So that is being quoted. So here is a translation of that. My greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth, whatever in this forest of Gokula, and I have my head bathed by the dust falling from the lotus feet of any of its residents. This is what Brahma is asking. So how can Brahma give such a benediction? So Srila Jiva Goswami explains that Krishna arranged for the Vasus to receive this benediction to emphasize that attaining his association is not an ordinary event. So they want to emphasize the point that it's not something very simple. Although on the other hand, for them it is natural, but on the other, from the perspective of the sadhakas and others, they have to understand the glory of the position of Mother Yashoda and Mother Nanda and Drona and Dara, for that matter Vasudeva and Devaki, Sutapa and Prishni as well. So that is what is being explained here. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur also says that Krishna appeared to reciprocate the love of his associates and so incidentally fulfill Brahma's boon. So this is the point that in the beginning we said that. So Brahma also, he made Brahma to give a boon, and also in that way he also satisfied the desire of the devotees. So in this connection, in today's verse, in the commentary, Srila Sanatana Goswami is also pointing out, he says that he wants to give glory, the Lord wants to give glory to his devotee, to Brahma. So he made Brahma to say, let it be so. So that's why you can see in the verse 52, this point is being explained. Thus the Supreme Personality means after Brahma said, be it so, what happened? Krishna along with Balarama lived in Vrajabhumi, Vrindavana, just to substantiate the benediction of Brahma. By exhibiting different pastimes to his childhood, he increased the transcendental pleasure of Nanda and the other inhabitants of Vrindavana. So he gave glory to Brahma. So because Brahma is considered to be the guru of all the inhabitants there, so he wanted to fulfill the desire. And also Srila Sanatana Goswami is pointing out that, like Nanda Maharaj, he is asking all the Brahmanas, please bless my child. What is this Brahmanas going to bless the child? You know, that Nanda Maharaj, out of great affection, the Vatsalya Bhav, is requesting the Brahmanas. But they understand that in that way, Brahmanas get the credit that, okay, they are great personalities, they are going to bless the child, giving them good strength, protection, memory, strength, and all those things. So in that way, here Brahma is being given the credit. So that is the point. So here is the point that is being made. This confirms that Brahma's boon is not the cause of Drona and Dhara's fortune, but simply a semblance of the same and a scene in Krishna's pastime. So it is a pastime that is being rendered. So that's the point. Now another question is being raised that is also being in discussion. It's a very interesting point. Here the question that is being raised is Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that the two Vasus performed pure sadhana and prayed for loving devotion. However, we have just shown that they already had loving devotion, to which Srila Jiva Goswami adds that they never performed any devotional service to become parents. Because that's what we heard. They are eternally parents. What is it that they are performing the sadhana? That we heard in the previous verses also. That they were performing sadhana. So what is that? This is very nicely reconciled here. Srila Jiva Goswami makes the emphatic statement that no Vedic literature says that Drona and Dhara performed great devotional service to the Lord to make themselves eligible to become his parents. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, however, writes, in this way, Drona and Dhara performed pure sadhana bhakti and prayed for pure prema bhakti. Appears like a contradiction. How do you understand? Considering Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's statement in view of Jiva's opinion and other scriptural evidence, as well as all other evidence that Drona and Dhara are eternally parents of the Lord, we must take it that Drona and Dhara's sadhana and prayers were a pastime, but not the actual cause of their parenthood. So they are setting example. Yadyad acharati shreshthas tattad evataro janaha. So they are setting some example that they are performing, they are practicing sadhana, but they really do not have to perform any kind of sadhana. So that's the point here. And it was pure because they were already pure, being expansions of Nanda and Yashoda. It's not that they have to get purified, but they were completely pure. Now this question also, when Parikshit Maharaj asked what is the great fortune they perform, also in that we can see Srila Prabhupada also in his purpose, he is making the point that how Mother Yashoda and Nanda's Vatsalya Rasa is very much superior to Vasudevas and Devaki, because there is no tinge of Aishwarya that we heard, and now that is being again clarified here. Parikshit Maharaj says that Drona and Dhara were more fortunate than Vasudeva and Devaki. Are Vasudeva and Devaki also eternal parents of the Lord? Another question is being raised. That is also resolved. So yes, that's also being answered here. When Krishna appeared in the prison of Kamsa to Vasudeva and Devaki, he did so in his opulent Vishnu form and reminded his parents of their previous births as the progenitors Sutapa and Prishni respectively. Srila Prabhupada in the purport to Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10 chapter 3 text 32, he makes a very important point. He says that to understand well the details involving Krishna's birth, as does Krishna himself with the words Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yovedi Tattvataha. In the same purport, Srila Prabhupada also asserts that Devaki and Vasudeva are Krishna's eternal parents, which Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur confirms in his commentary to a later verse, adding that Prishni and Sutapa are their partial expansions. Thus, their identities as Prishni and Sutapa very much mirrors the identities of Drona and Dhara. Both are expansions in heaven of Krishna's eternal Goloka parental associates. The Lord further narrates that under the order of Brahma, Prishni and Sutapa performed austerities to produce offspring, and when the Lord appeared before them to offer a boon, they requested a child like him. In answer to their request, the Lord became the son of Prishni and Sutapa in their three incarnations as Prishni Garbha to Prishni and Sutapa, as Vamana to Kashyapa and Aditi, and finally to Vasudeva and Devaki. So this also very clearly puts in perspective how they were also expansions of their eternal position of being mother and father. And we saw in the previous purports how Mother Yashoda and Nanda's position and is in terms of rasa vichar are superior to Devaki and Vasudeva, as they spend in the childhood pastimes. The Mother Yashoda and Nanda, these are some of the explanations that are given by Srila Prabhupada and other acharyas, that they spend a lot of time with Krishna and Balaram, but whether Mother Devaki and Vasudeva could not. And also another reason that we have been throughout consistently being discussed is because of the Aishwarya Gyan they had for the Lord. Yes, there are so many other discussions on this, but This puts things in perspective and explains the position of Mother Yashoda and Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, and also how they are, what is the great fortune that they had to perform parenthood for Krishna. And now in today's purport, these are some of the things which are from the Tattva and Rasavichar we can try to understand, but a very important principle that could be put in practice for us as a practicing sadhakas. Here Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he is really brings to limelight a very important philosophical conclusion for a devotee to understand the kind of suffering that eventually a devotee may undergo in the practice of devotional service. So what is the proper perspective of the apparent suffering a devotee may undergo, and how we should understand that Srila Prabhupada is highlighting here. So before we touch upon this point here, some of the key words here used. Janardhana. The word Janardhana, Srila Prabhupada very nicely, it's amazing Srila Prabhupada purports when you see Srila Prabhupada, how he brings the conclusions of the previous acharyas in his commentary. The first two lines, he very nicely summarizes the word Janardhana. So he says, although when the Supreme Personality of Godhead stole the butter, curd and milk of the neighboring Gopas and Gopis, this teasing superficially seemed troublesome. In fact, it was an exchange of affection in the ecstasy of devotional service. This is actually the meaning of the word Janardhana. Prabhupada puts it, he expands it. Srila Sanatana Goswami, while explaining while explaining the meaning for this word Janardhana, usually one explanation that we in Bhagavad Gita and other places we hear, Janardhana means he who protects the jivas or the living entities, like that. So here, Ardhana means asking and tormenting. So the Sanskrit is like this. You can come up with so many different meanings. The acharyas know the main context and what is it that it actually explains. So here he says that asking and tormenting. Ardhana means asking and tormenting. So he tormented the gopis. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is pointing out. Teasing superficially seemed troublesome. That's what Srila Prabhupada is making a point here. So so that whatever torment, it's apparently it appears that they are complaining to Mother Yashoda that Krishna comes and steals the butter. He comes and then he passes water. He teases, he spits. But it apparently appears like some kind of a teasing. But that is a source of great bliss for the Brajava. So here he is called as, this is what the Janardhana here it means. So then Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain in this purport, the more the Gopas and Gopis exchange feelings with the Lord, the more the devotional service increase. So this is again as a blow for the so-called commentators or the Mayavadis, the feelings. When you say feelings is between two personalities. So persons only can exhibit feelings, not that something impersonal can exhibit feelings. So here we see the more they express their feelings, the more the love becomes intense. So sometimes we may superficially see that a devotee is in difficulty because of being engaged in devotional service, but the fact is different. So many times people ask this question, why the Lord has to put his devotee in difficulty, why so much suffering, the Pandavas underwent so much suffering. But actually from the perspective of pure devotee, the suffering is a great bliss. Because in every activity, they see Krishna's intervention. They see Krishna. This is the difference between a pure devotee and a Kanishta. So the pure devotee, they see Krishna's presence everywhere. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mai pashyati. How does the verse go then? Yasyaham na pranashyami, tasyaham na pranashyati. So this is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. This is how the devotee sees. Yomam pashyati sarvatra. In everywhere he can see Krishna's presence. In fact, there's a very interesting discussion, no? In the, I think in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, when there was a discussion between the four Kumaras, they were pointing out that the senses, it is so powerful that the senses are attracted by the sense objects. It looks like there is an intimate connection between the senses and the sense objects. So how one can get rid of this connection between the senses and the sense objects? It seems it's natural, and it looks like there is no solution. So they were thinking about this, and then they were just pondering what to do. They were just they do not know what the solution for this. So they went to Brahma, who was also, they were performing tapasya. Brahma was also performing tapasya. Brahma also, he said, it looks like a very intelligent, very good question. Well, he also did not know the answer for it. He was just thinking, yeah, senses and the sense objects, very intimate connection. So it's a big discussion is going on between them, and suddenly the Lord appears as Hamsa. Hey, what about me? Why you are not thinking about me? In all these things, you have to think about me. So the Lord explains that actually, because you do not see me in the creation, you do not see that my energies are manifesting, that the forgetfulness of the jivas about the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the bondage in the material world. So then, that's the whole point. So unless the influence of the Mahamaya or the illusory potency of the Lord, that's why we are in this material world. We are suffering in this material world, forgetting the position of the Supreme Personality of God as Sri Krishna, how we are eternally connected with Him as His eternal servants. We have totally forgotten that. And as a result of that, we are suffering in this material world. So the Lord comes, the Lord descends, and He reminds us. Then just we saw 2-3 verses before in this chapter, that how the Lord descends along with His devotees to give pure devotional service. So Prabhupada, in the conclusion of that purport to that verse, he bangs the point that that's why we have to take shelter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. By giving oral reception to these two books, we can come out of this powerful knot of illusion that has covered us, that has bewildered us, and the bewilderment is the result of the bewilderment is that we are strongly identify our senses with the sense objects. We are struggling in the material world. So this is the point, and so here is this. That's a point here that's being made, that how a non-devotee can never understand the suffering, the apparent suffering of the devotee. Actually, there is no suffering for a devotee. The devotee, he sees Krishna's plan. He sees Krishna has a plan for me, and he understands that this is for my own purification. The Lord has arranged the situation. So this for us, for the sadhakas like us, we need to hear this again and again, because many times, many bewildering situations happens in our lives. We can't understand the reversals. Suddenly some devotee ends up with an accident, or he just picks up terrible disease, or we can't even understand. We may give there may be so many medications he may be undergoing, but so much suffering. He's engaged in devotional service. So but we are very patiently, a devotee understands that whatever the time undergoing, it is all my effect of my previous karma. Yesterday we were discussing about the life history of Jayadeva Goswami, who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Who can be more intimate and pure than Jayadeva Goswami? What happened to him? The dacoits, they cut his hands, cut his legs, threw him into the well, and he was chanting Krishna's name. He never complained. What a nonsense it is! How something can happen to me like this? I'm 24 hours absorbed in your service. How something he never complained like that. In fact, these devotees, by their example, they show that simply we have to satatam kirtayantam. We have to engage in devotional service, whatever may be our situation. We have to engage in devotional service. Easy to say, but that's what the acharyas are showing us. Srila Prabhupada himself in his life, he showed how much struggles he underwent, how much difficulties he took to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. He is an empowered acharya. He could have just sat in Vrindavan and not still, but he showed that taking troubles, taking difficulties for the pleasure of the Lord, that is great bliss. So we can see the whole movement, how it expanded. So many devotees underwent a lot of struggle. So much struggle. And in those struggle, they could see Krishna. So devotees did not have money to pay the rent for the house they were staying in. They don't know what they are going to do the next day. They were just walking in the morning. Krishna appeared as dollars. They just got just enough to pay the rent. So many amazing things have happened in our movement. It's not only in the we can think of the past times in historical, the Puranas, But still it has happened in the recent past, it is happening now, it will happen in the future also. For those devotees who have dedicated their lives and who are taking that trouble to follow the instructions of the Guru and Krishna. Yasya deve parabhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyarte katitaya artha prakashante mahatmana. So to whom to those who have firm faith in the Lord and the Guru, the import of the revealed scriptures, the scriptures actually the import is revealed to them. This is the whole philosophy of our Krishna consciousness. Firm faith on the words of Guru and Krishna and taking hardships. So we should not be very reluctant and then become stagnant in devotional service. So here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, of course, in our conditioned stage, we will not be able to understand how the suffering is transcendental enjoyment. But as we make progress in devotional service, we will not complain. We will never complain on others. We will never complain about the situation. Although we may see as particular situation, certain people may be instruments, we will never point fingers. The moment we start pointing fingers on someone, that means we have not understood anything in devotional service. That's the whole point. This His Holiness Bhakti-Vikas Swami Maharaj recently, I think maybe a year back, he gave 2 classes. Really, devotees can, when they get time, they can hear this. He explained this verse, Vipada Santuta Sashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru. Amazing class. He made the point, he reminded us that how Kunti Maharani, she's asking that you please give us difficulties so that we can constantly remember you. Now, in perspective of to this verse, he explained the point that how devotees in their life there may be difficult. It's not easy. It's difficult. We all have ups and downs in our practice of Krishna consciousness. Japa is difficult, health difficulties, difficulties with the mind, difficulties with sometimes with devotees, difficulties with outside people, difficulties with our own mind. So many different kinds of difficulties we have. But in spite of all these things, we have to understand that it's a passing phase. Krishna, that we have to go through this purification, and the more we sincerely take up this chanting and following the instructions of the spiritual master, we will be thoroughly purified. And many devotees have this realization. They have no clue why they underwent some kind of some specific sufferings. And those who went through that, they understand it's a test from the Lord, and they have so much realizations, and you can see they are out preaching, they are expanding the movement. They're distributing books, they're establishing so many projects that actually our previous acharyas are desiring. So we have to remember that we are very, very insignificant in this entire creation. And if we can just remember our insignificant position and continue to engage in the footsteps of the pure devotees, the previous acharyas, Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, our life will become perfect. So I still remember in that lecture, Guru Maharaj gave a very nice example. He explains about the butterfly which was stuck. The butterfly is in the cocoon, and the butterfly takes time. It has to really struggle hard to come out of the cocoon. So there is a lot of fluids, watery substance, and it has to really struggle. And one person, he saw, oh, this butterfly is struggling so much inside the cocoon. So let me help it. So what he did, he cut the cocoon so that the butterfly can come out. So he really did that. So the butterfly, it tried to come out, but it remained as an insect because it could not fly, because it didn't really undergo that so much struggle, and as a result of that, that butterfly wings did not come out, because the more it struggles and expands, all the water becomes dried out and the wings come out. But since he had cut the cocoon early, it could not come out. So Maharaj was explaining the point that, so we do not know why we are put in certain situations, but we should have the faith on the Lord and His devotees that we should stick to the process and we should take hardships. And for us, what is hardships? Simple things that we have to take up. We have to come for Mangalarati. We have to chant our rounds attentively. We have to study Srila Prabhupada's books. We have to go out, distribute books. Whatever services that is assigned to us, with commitment, we have to take up that. And this whole practice should be inculcated right from a young age. We have to push, we have to do quality rounds. So like that, unless we take steps, the mercy is flowing from the previous acharyas. But from our side, what are we doing? So that's very important. So we need to take, so otherwise we become stagnant. We just come, we somehow, it's like you come to the moment, you get some time, you practice, you chant, and then you get initiated, and then initiation is a beginning, and then we have to initiate, we have to push ourselves. And also, time to time we preach to others also. By preaching to others, we also remind ourselves that, oh, yes, I got a great responsibility. I'm a disciple. Disciple means discipline. So take the great responsibility, and then you, by discussing with other God brothers about the subject matters of the Bhagavatam, Gita, we constantly remind ourselves about our position in this material world. What is our goal in the process of the Krishna consciousness movement? And we are always enriched with the spirit of distributing the message, so that's the whole point. Srila Prabhupada is saying preaching is the essence, he says. So we will be absorbed in that. Otherwise we will be stuck. We will be mental. We will have so many different difference of opinions, conflicts, and we have to deal with it. So much time has to be spent in dealing with that. But the whole community, the set of devotees, everybody become very vibrant. Simply if we follow the basic codes of conduct that is given by Srila Prabhupada. So then we don't have to spend so much time on petty issues. So it also becomes very easy for the leader to engage devotees in service, because those devotees who are regularly reading, regularly hearing, you don't have to all the time keep pushing them for basic things, because they are inspired. They are just all the time waiting what to do, how to expand the mission of Krishna consciousness. So this is the point. So here Srila Prabhupada is very nicely touching that point, that how pure devotees are absorbed in spite of different difficulties. So they are in bliss. So of course that we see with the great personalities, and we see here that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, so they further Krishna and Balaram, they gave great pleasure to Nanda Maharaj. So that's a concluding verse in this chapter, which says that they exhibited different childhood pastimes, and by performing the various childhood pastimes, they increase the transcendental pleasure of Nanda and Mother Yashoda. Yeah, Teshang Preeting Swalilaya. So by they increase the preeti of the devotees by performing amazing pastimes. So we will stop here. So if you have any questions or comments or any realizations, welcome.
Yes, we see practically that devotees, it's an interesting subject matter, that devotees do struggle. They do have so many hardships.
Yes.
And some devotees think that, well, why should I unnecessarily suffer? I'm an intelligent person. There's so much facility available. Why don't I just make an endeavor to improve my situation myself? Is that showing a lack of faith in the process, or in the faith in the Lord, or is that something that a devotee should be responsible to make good arrangements for himself and his family?
Yes.
When does it become a sense of responsibility, or when is it a case of not having faith and in the process, not having commitment to the movement? How do we make the distinction? How do we see that?
It's a very interesting question. Yeah, the point is that there may be a devotee may be put in a different situation. You may be undergoing, let's say, some bodily difficulties or some disease or something. So whatever precautionary items, whatever that needs to be done, acting in the material world, a devotee may take steps. Not that he is completely irresponsible and then doesn't being practicing devotees. We are not irresponsible, just throwing away whatever that we need to do to take care of the body, and then keep going ourselves to be healthy in the service of devotion, in the service of devotional service. We need to be responsible. At the same time, the understanding of the situation is that whatever that I am undergoing is not because of, you don't put blame on someone else. We just understand that it's because of my previous situations. I'm in this particular situation, and whatever I need to undergo will undergo. Nevertheless, whatever rectifications I need to do, a devotee takes those steps. So that's one step. And second is that, say, let's say he's in some particular situation, he does not, let's say, let's say he's financially in a very, very difficult, just giving a basic example, that I'm very economically very low, someone is very rich, so now I will make some great endeavor to make myself very rich so that I can practice devotional service nicely. So this kind of an understanding is a wrong understanding. You don't have to do that. But yeah, whatever is required based in your situation, a devotee may endeavor, but this endeavor should not hamper his devotional service. Many people we have seen, so they in the name of improving their economic situation, they take so much hardships, and at the end they forget about chanting Hare Krishna, they forget about association of devotees, and they are lost. They are lost over the process, although there may be apparent difficulties. So one should be very clear. One should set priorities in life. What is the priority? We have come to this material world. Our priority is to develop our eternal relationship with the Lord, and that should be the priority. And accordingly, with the guidance of devotees and other experienced devotees, one should mold his life in such a way he can spend time in Krishna consciousness. This is the underlying principle. So one can be intelligent enough to change his job or change his business or whatever is the situation. Be a little smart enough to mold your life in such a way that you can engage more in Krishna service. By engaging more in Krishna service, one can remember Krishna. That's the whole point. Not that one works so hard or in the name of trying to satisfy their plan. Totally they are away from the process of Krishna consciousness and devotees. And so that's not the right thing to do. So and also it's a wrong understanding. You think that maybe in the future, but we will try to slowly take up Krishna consciousness. But we do not know about our life. Our life is very short. Anything can happen to us at any time. So the real intelligence is to take to devotional service right away, and then also be intelligent enough to mold our life. And with respect to also, we have spiritual difficulties. There may be so many different kinds of problems we may undergo. That's why we are not blind. We have devotees, we have guru, we have shastras to help us, explain us how to come out of such situations. The solution is simple: chanting Hare Krishna. As Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the root cause of all the problems is inattentive chanting. That's what he says in his Harinam Chintamani. But then certain practical situations, how to act, what to do. So experienced devotees are there to guide. So it's not totally wrong on a devotee's attitude to adjust the situation, but not that by adjusting my situation I will adjust my karma. This propensity that I will adjust the situation so that I can enjoy this material world. This is the wrong attitude. This is the most dangerous attitude. If we have this understanding that I will adjust my situation so that I can enjoy and then also practice little Krishna consciousness, that means we have not understood anything from Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada is making the point again and again. The material world, the very nature of this material world is suffering. So not that we can now change the nature of this material world, but we can adjust our situation to engage more in Krishna service and absorb ourselves so that we can overcome this whatever situation that we are, and we understand that the body is temporary and this body means there are suffering. We can't avoid. When you are going to become old, or now even in engage, many people are having, because thanks to the modern age, Kali Yuga, with all the air pollution, water pollution, whatnot, so many pollutions, we are all having so many different kinds of difficulties. When you are going to become old, you're naturally going to have more problems. It's not that things are going to become old, but there's no point in blaming the Lord or the devotees or the situation. But we have to adjust, and we have to mold, and we have to be practical also. Whatever that is required, we have to do, and then we have to derive inspiration. So this is the point.
Yes, very good point. Yes, your Prabhupada said we should not be neglectful in our ordinary dealings.
Yes.
But at the same time, like you said, we have to understand what our priority should be.
Yes.
Priority is to be Krishna conscious, not to become more entangled in the material world.
Yes.
Yeah, we should. Prabhupada wants us to be responsible. That's a fact. But it's irresponsible to neglect our spiritual life on the guise of becoming, better situated materially.
Yeah.
Keep it simple and keep our focus on our spiritual development.
Yeah, that's the whole essence, that the focus should be on spiritual development, and then adjust your life according to that. That's the most important thing.
another question was, you were talking about how Jonah and Dara, they enter into the bodies of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj.
Yes.
So we see that in the Shastras, you see examples like Haridas Thakur, for instance. He's said to be have a dual incarnation of Lord Brahma and Prahlad.
Yeah.
So how do we understand that? How is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, it's they are very okay. The question is, we see that here Drona and Dhara are expansions of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, and also we see so many examples are there in the scriptures about, for example, Haridas Thakur. It is explained that he is Brahma and also he is Prahlad. So how do we understand dual expansions? How do we understand all this? As in the beginning of the class, I was just explaining the point that so the Lord, for the service of the Lord, the devotees are empowered to expand, and also how this happens. This is the Achintya Shakti of the Lord. So we can't really with any logic understand how it is possible for these kind of expansions to happen. So as the Lord can, that we just read one of the purports, as the Lord can expand for participating in the pastime. Similarly, his devotees, for the pleasure of the Lord, to please the Lord, they expand and then they perform various pastimes. So this is my small understanding on this. And again, the principle of Achintya Shakti should be taken into account, as Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Prabhupada many times points out. Without that, we cannot perceive this. How is it possible that simultaneously expansions can happen? But it does happen by the mercy of the Lord, and for the pleasure of the Lord it happens. So that's my simple understanding of this. Anything else? Yes.
Line, like in this purport, that suffering for Krishna is transcendental enjoyment. Generally, we experience that two kind of reaction happens when they hear or read these kind of points. First thing, because they compare, these devotees are, I'm that devotee, so I'm not transcendentally enjoying anything. It's really I'm suffering. So they get confused, or otherwise happens that they are what's say. Anyway, they compare themselves with the, as Prabhupada says, they are pure devotees, but actually it's not, like us sadhakas is mentioned here. So how to, understand this? What is the proper?
Yeah. So the point is that as we heard, there are two things in the scriptures that when we hear, Srila Prabhupada also is mentioning in some of the purports before, that there are two things, that the pure devotees activities and in fact the activities of the Supreme Lord, some of them, there are two things the Acharyas are explaining again and again, something called Anukarana and Anusharana. So Anukaran means that if you don't try to imitate some activities, rather we try to follow some activities. Follow means following it in their footsteps. So for example, the activities like Shiva drinking the poison, and then Krishna lifting the Govardhana hill, he is dancing with the gopis, and also as we heard in this today's verse, that the different devotees, how their experience of the suffering is bliss, like all the great devotees, their intense separation, they are in that intense separation, they feel great bliss. So in our sadhaka stage, it's very difficult for us to first of all comprehend it, one thing, and second thing also to we can't artificially imitate all these things. So we need to understand that. So that's why we have to be we should be able to understand their position and what is our position in the material world, and we try to appreciate and we glorify their activities. This is what we need to do. And if we just take artificial position, think ourselves, as you said, put ourselves in that position, and think that where I'm not experiencing any bliss. So this is that we have the very attitude itself. We understand that we are in a very very beginning stage of devotional service. So that's one point, and also there is another point that, as you said, I was just thinking that a devotee may also misuse this when someone is suffering. Yes, someone else is suffering. He said, tatte no kampa. Like as Prabhuji explained, we need to be responsible. It's like we take care of some devotees, or the husband has to take care of his wife, and all those things. And you don't misinterpret the scriptures. Whatever that is favorable to you, you take, and whatever is unfavorable, you reject. So that's also a wrong understanding. So one has to be responsible and should know what is his position, his sthana, adhikar. And according to adhikar, you should act. At the same time, one should be able to appreciate and understand the unique position of the great devotees. So this is my small perspective on that. Yeah.
Sometimes it's happened that wife asks husband for sari, and
Yeah.
he say, you are supposed to be satisfied whatever you have,
Yeah.
and he doesn't provide, then
But afternoon he asked for paneer sabji
Yeah.
from the same wife.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
is the whole
is
point.
what happens.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.